Okay, so I'm here with Eimear Darcy, who had a fantastic 13 months in the MMA scene last year. She came in like a house on fire. She went 5-2. She's on the cusp of going pro now as well. She picked up 2 belts in the process. She also has 2 belts previous in her K1. So, how are you? Thank you very much for joining me. And what led you into martial arts in the first place?
So thanks for having me. So I started kickboxing when I was like 6, doing semi-contact. So I did that from about 6 to 16. And then I stopped for a couple of years as teenager, adult, the usual life and other things become a priority that shouldn't be. And then I fell back into it and started training in compound.
Okay, and obviously you've got Ushin here, you've got Alex, you've got Ryan, and you've got a host of other fighters here. What's it like training in compound? Why did you pick this gym to come back to?
It's great. I love training here. Yeah. The first day that I came up, I felt immediately welcomed in the class, and you could kind of see that everyone was welcome in that sense as well. Like, you didn't feel like it was just for people who were going to be competing. It was like a place just for everyone. And I used to compete when I was younger, so I had gone back with the intention of just, you know, training and seeing what it was going to be like. But in the back of my head, I always kind of knew that competing again was something that I wanted to do. So it coming here, it still had that kind of like drive towards competing too. So yeah, that's why it was here. And Ushin's just such a great coach that I immediately just wanted to come back again the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that competitive edge is tough to get rid of once you have it. So you were never going to come back and just train. Like, you were always going to come back and you were going to compete eventually. But like you said, Ushin, I've talked to Ushin many times, and I think he's a great mind for MMA, and he's a great mind for combat sports in general. When you come back and you start competing again, and you're competing in kickboxing, what's that like to get back into it after being out for a few years? Did you just pick up where you left off?
Yeah, it kind of, like, parts of it reminded me of, say, when I was younger and I would have been competing, like, that kind of nervousness was still there, but I knew it was something that I've done before, so I was going to be able to do it again. And I'd remembered when one of the days I was here and we were training, and I think Ryan and Alex were training for a fight, or maybe it was Ryan and one of the other lads. They were getting ready for fights, and Ushin had said that if there's anybody here that is looking to work towards titles and that they want to get titles and stuff like that, I wanted to come and talk to me. And I think I was here a couple of months, maybe like 3 months or something like that, and I was like, I want that. Like, immediately I was like, no wait, this is, yeah, I want this. So then he would have started to get me into sparring with different bodies and stuff like that, so I can start like moving towards just getting some fights in, and then yeah, just start the process there. Yeah, so it was good.
How did you feel after being away from all those years? Your first fight back, I'm assuming it was in K1, because obviously that you've got a lot more fights than MMA, and you just came in. What was it like coming back to fight? What was the nerves still there? Was everything else still there?
Yeah, I get nervous before every fight. So even my fights now, I will get equally as nervous as I did on my first fight. That still stays the same. But it was more that I had the confidence of the training behind me to be able to go out and fight. So it was more that even Ushin and the lads would be saying like that, you do this every single day, you go in and you spar every single day, so it's going to be the same, except for there's just people there watching you, so nothing is really different to what you're going to do. So yeah, it didn't really feel like it felt like it was the same as what it was before, if that makes sense, but it was still something that I knew that I'd be able to do, so it was okay.
Yeah, and with obviously you're saying back in the nervousness, you do it on a day-to-day basis. Do you think the mental aspect of fighting is hugely overlooked? Because I think, like, you do it every day, you always hear about as well, fighters in the gym, then they get to the big stage and it doesn't work for them. Do you think the mental aspect is overlooked sometimes by fighters, and it should be looked into more, because it seems to play a huge part in the actual when you get out there to fight?
Yeah, I think now, obviously, because there's social media, you see people more kind of putting up pieces around, like, you know, the mental side of things, your mindset and different pieces. And Ushin would be a big, like, he would push that mindset piece on us too. So I think would hopefully think that now it's not as overlooked as maybe it was before, but like I 100% think that the mental side of it is so important. And for me, I felt like I had that mental piece. Just because I felt nervous didn't mean that that mental piece wasn't there. It's just more that I knew that I had the kind of tools to be able to use to overcome those kind of nerves, that I didn't let it kind of come in the way.
Yeah. So obviously Usheen, it sounds like Usheen as well, is technically, mentally, he prepares you for going out into war.
He prepares us in literally any single way possible, yeah.
But that's the best, and you see that with the likes of Alex Ryan and all the guys that are going out competing. You picked up a couple of titles in K1, because I remember talking to you, I think it was our first interview, you had a fight, and the fight by decision didn't actually go your way, and then it actually got looked at and you had to rematch. So talk to us about what was it like getting to the titles in K1?
Yeah, so like I, from when I had started here, I could see like the ISK belts on the wall, and I wanted one of those. And I wanted one of those not just because I wanted the belt, but I knew the hard work that kind of came with it, and I wanted to be able to like execute everything that you needed to do to be able to get one of those belts. So that was something that was a goal for me. So yeah, the fight it was last September, I think. Yeah, it was last September. That was going to be for my first belt, so that was like a really big moment for me. And the decision obviously hadn't gone my way, so that was a bit of a tricky night, but that then got brought forward to the ISKA, and the fight was shown to them and stuff, and they had said that there needs to be a rematch for the fight. So then I got my rematch just last April. And yeah, that was okay. I won, so yeah, the right decision.
Because I remember that. But what's it like after, like you said, all that hard work, everything you put into it, and you obviously felt on the night that you felt you won, but for it to be taken out of your hands like that with the judges, what was that feeling like then, to go back to the dressing room knowing you had won that fight, but you didn't get the decision?
Yeah, it was hard. Like I had a little cry, I ate some Jaffa cakes at the same time. That was fine. And then I knew that wasn't going to be the end of it. So I just knew I just had to get back to training, and I needed to put the work in to fix that mistake. So yeah, there was no, I felt like, you know, it would come up in my head, and I'd be like thinking about it a little bit, and it would kind of get me down, but I wouldn't let that start. Like I still had to show up to training because I knew that something needed to be fixed. So that's what I had to do. Yeah. So like mentally, that kind of part, like those maybe like 1 or 2 months after that, like mentally that was quite hard, because it was something that I was so excited for. I was really like, and that I had won that fight. I know I had, and everyone else knew I had, but it was just like certain judging that kind of interrupted that. But I knew that it was something that I just had to kind of power through and fix. Yeah.
And then like that, you went on and you won the belt. What weight class was that? Because you hold 2 belts in 2 different weight classes in K1 as well.
Yeah, so I got the rematch for that in April, and then it was the February just before that I had fought for the 58 kg ISK belt, and I won that one. So I won that one in February, and then the other one in April.
And then you got the rematch in April. What was it like when you did lift the one in February after what had happened previously? What was it like to actually get to lift the belt?
Yeah, it was a lovely feeling, but I knew something else needed to be done, so I was still like, okay. And it's like after every fight, I know that that's not the end. There's something else, there's always something else for me. So it's a lovely feeling, and it's a nice kind of goal that I've achieved, but I know that there's something else that I need to do. So yeah.
So yeah, there's always another goal after that goal to keep you motivated, because I find a lot of fighters say when they have a fight, they're all motivated for that fight, and then once that kind of plateau, once that's over, whether you win or lose, if you don't have something lined up, you don't have something next, it's not hard to stay motivated, but they're just not as pushed. But you seem to have everything kind of detailed.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes it's like that, it doesn't, but in the moment, say when I've won, even with the belts, like it's like it doesn't sink in then. It's for me, it could be like I could be cycling on the way to work, and then I'm like, oh well, that was really cool that happened. Like that's great. And it's like then, or I could be in the gym and I'm like, wow. Or it could be like just a Sunday, and it kind of like sinks in a little bit there. Sometimes it's not like in the moment that it sinks in for me. I don't know if it's maybe because there's like kind of so much going on and stuff, but it's more when I'm by myself and I think about what I just did, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. Yeah.
It's cool. And then like that, you've added quite a few belts to the existing belts that are here as well. So what was that feeling like getting those belts to add to the wall, and you've picked some more up in MMA, which we'll go on to and talk about as well.
Yeah.
What was it like to add to the collection here already?
Yeah, it was great because that's obviously something that, like the collection, something that I looked up to when I started here. So it was great to be able to, and like the people that added those belts to the wall, like Oisin obviously speaks about them in like high regard. So it's great to be one of those people now that has belts on the wall too. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to have them up there. We'll talk about the MMA one shortly, but at that stage, what made you transition into MMA?
So obviously me and Oisin had been talking, and we were talking about like kickboxing and moving forward with kickboxing and looking at going like professional in kickboxing then. And then he had mentioned MMA, and MMA was always something that was like mentioned to me, but it was something that I just wasn't like. I think mentally it probably was that piece of like, oh, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to be good at this? I almost felt like I had to be good enough to do it. So even when I was coming back to training, I used to train just in like a normal gym. I was just like hitting a bag in a gym because I was like, oh no, it was that classic, like I need to get good at this before I go and do it, which makes no sense because you could just go to the place that's doing it and get good there and then just train. But for me, I was like, oh no, I need to get good at this before I can even go. So even like starting off here, that was kind of put off by myself a little bit. So I think mentally, even with like the jiu-jitsu and MMA, I was probably putting that off a little bit mentally too. And then Oisin was speaking about maybe like the ceiling for kickboxing could be a little bit lower, you know, I would have more opportunities in MMA. So then I started to train MMA, and yeah, now I love it.
And how did you find the ground game when you first started doing it as well? Because obviously coming from a striking background, you're standing there waiting, and then to kick or strike or punch or whatever it is, and then someone takes you down. Like, what was it like? What was it like first transitioning into the ground game?
It's equally as confusing as it is now, and I don't think that's ever gonna change. Like, because even when you're in jiu-jitsu and like there's the lads are like higher belts and stuff like that, they're also confused, and I'm like, this is just something I'm committed to being confused about for the rest of my life in different parts of it. But like, it's great. I love it. Yeah. So I think it's just, it was at the start, it was tricky because I was so bad. So I was like, am I always going to be terrible at this? But I think it's actually just more getting comfortable with the idea of actually not knowing everything, and that's also quite exciting as well, because then something clicks and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and that starts to make a bit more sense, and this starts to make more sense, and then everything doesn't make sense, and then it starts to make more sense again, and then it just doesn't make sense again. So yeah, it was good. Yeah,
because like that, it's still evolving like MMA as well, because I talk to jiu-jitsu guys all the time and they say what was good or kind of like a finishing move a couple of years ago is not now, because whenever someone creates an attack, someone always creates a defense, which opens up. But that's one of the things that struck me throughout like your like the 13 months that you've been fighting, is you haven't gone to the ground much. Your defense for someone to get you to the ground is so good, especially from a standing position. You were able to clinch up, you were able to stay on your feet. How is that? Like, how have you excelled so far to that stage so quickly? Is it because you really don't want to go down there?
No, we've just invested a lot of time. Like I work really hard and I put in like a lot of time to my training, and that would have been, and obviously because striking is my background, that the wall wrestling would have been something that we focused a lot of time into at the same time as focusing in jiu-jitsu as well. But like, I'd be up at the back of the mats by myself sometimes pretending that there's somebody, and I'd just be going through technique. So I would put like a lot of time into the wall wrestling and into like my clinching and just trying to get it into position where I want it to be. But at the same time now, I've been putting a lot of time into my jiu-jitsu as well. So if it does go there too, that I'll have the skills to be able to kind of get it to where I'd like it to be as well.
Being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, which essentially is kind of every step in MMA or combat sports. But you started off, you fought on the Fight Project against Mary Beth Taylor.
Yeah.
Was there any difference between preparing for a fight for MMA to K1?
No, everything would have been quite similar. Yeah, for me, I would work equally as hard as anything. It would just be more, things were probably a little bit newer, like the jiu-jitsu pieces, that everything was quite new, and then probably just that I was in a cage rather than in a ring. But the preparation, everything would have been, because I would have had, I don't know how many fights I've had in K1 now, but I would have had probably like 5 or 6 definitely before I had that fight with Mary Beth. So yeah, everything would have been, the preparation pieces would have been quite similar. I would have prepared my body the same, my mind the same. So yeah.
It was just more the technical aspects.
It was just more the actual, just adding in jiu-jitsu, wall wrestling, and then even maybe different pieces of my striking game towards MMA. So yeah.
Yeah, trying to mix it all up together.
Yeah.
Then your second fight, you had someone who had, I believe, 9 fights. It was Kerry Ann.
Oh yeah, my second one was a Kerry Ann.
Yeah, so that was, you went up against quite an experienced opponent and you went the distance with her.
Yeah.
Although you didn't win the fight, did you feel as that fight as a win in general because of her experience level? Because I believe she's about to go pro as well.
Yeah, I think she's gone pro too, yeah. No, I was definitely, it was a mentally probably a good fight. I knew that I had the capability to to stand up and fight her on the feet as well. It was the jiu-jitsu pieces, maybe that was something that we knew might be a way of testing myself, but again, it was just more experience in the bag. And the fact that she has a lot more experience, she would have had like maybe different things to show me in the cage as well. And from starting MMA, I knew that I wanted to go all the way with it. So she's a good person for me to kind of test myself against because she had so much experience as well. And she's a great fighter, so yeah. And
do you feel like you found a lot about your game at that early stage against her? Like she was showing you different stuff that maybe other girls might not show because of her experience. Did you look back on that fight and learn a lot from it?
Yeah, I would have learned a lot from it in the sense of that she's quite strong. I would have been able to see that even like that my stand-up game, my hands, my striking is quite good even against someone who's a good striker as well. And yeah, just that trusting in my technique and that it can work. And also every fight that I've had, even K1, any MMA fights that I've had, it shows me gaps that I need to work on. So that definitely would have shown me different pieces of even like being on the cage, of positions that I need to work on and hand position in different pieces. So yeah, no, definitely there's a lot of learning from. I feel like from every fight I get so much learning. Like I even after a fight I'm like, if I've won, whether I win or whether I lose, I'm like, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this. There's no kind of like, that was I wouldn't be like, that was amazing. I'd be like, okay, I need to work on things now. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you find that maybe fighters don't look at their wins as well? Because a lot of fighters say they look at their losses to learn from it. Do you find that, like you said, you look at every fight?
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
Do you think that might be something that's a miss with people, that they might win? Because you're never going to have 100% perfect performance. Because if you did, it'd be a quick fight, be over. So, like, you gain as much from looking at your fights where you've won than you've lost. So, do you study your fights much?
I would look at them, like I have, and like I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like looking at them, and I'm like, that wasn't great, and I'd say to Oisin, and that wasn't great, and he would be really good at kind of looking back and seeing what I need to fix and stuff. But automatically, like straight after I have a fight, I will, like, the minute we walk back, I'm like, I needed to do this better, I needed to do this better, I needed to do this better, and like I'll have won, and I'll still be like looking at things that I need to change, because there's so many different things that are coming up from it. Like I'm getting caught in certain positions, like I'm still getting like hit in certain positions, I'm not moving my head properly, so I need to be able to like recognize, for me, I need to be able to recognize that straight away and know what I need to fix.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Because I'm going back to training then like 2 days later, so there's no point in me going back to training and not knowing what I need to kind of work on. So yeah. It
sounds like you've very good self-awareness of yourself, and then maybe, I don't want to say deficiencies, but holes kind of in your game that you're looking at to build. Because if you look at everything and think it's perfect, you're going to get to a certain ceiling, and you'll never go by that. But you represented Ireland as well. You went over to the Four Nations. What was that feeling like? I know obviously you lost the fight in the end, but what was it like to travel as Team Ireland? Obviously you had the guys from the north and the south, and it's all one team. What was it like to go represent the country in MMA and go over there?
Yeah, it was really nice. I think it kind of shows the community like aspect of it, and even like that I wouldn't have known a few of the people going over, and like everyone kind of comes together and they're there to support you and stuff. So it was really nice, and it was obviously like it was a great feeling to be able to represent Ireland and go over there as well. So yeah, I felt very proud to be able to do that too. So yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good, I like the Four Nations because you're not having to go to the IMS, which could be Bahrain, could be Dubai.
Yeah, it was only in Wales, so
the
it was
expense of those competitions are quite much. So obviously on the financial side, it wasn't too bad. It was only across the water. But what was your biggest kind of takeaway from the event as a whole, whether it be traveling over, the team unity, the fight? What was your biggest kind of takeaway from?
I think it's all preparation. I feel for me it was like the preparation of going over that experience of fighting in a different country, what that was going to be like. I also, Oisin wasn't there, so that was I think my first fight that I wouldn't have had him there for as well, so it's known that I can trust in the work that we have done here to be able to go over and do that there as well. So I think just kind of that confidence piece I felt was something that I definitely took away from it, of being able to travel over and do that. So yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Because obviously with Oisin, you work on techniques and positions and different move sets or skill sets that I know in certain gyms they might have a code word for it. Did you feel, obviously, like how big of a miss was that for you?
That I didn't have him there. Yeah, definitely. Like it was strange not having him there. But it's understandable that he can't be at everything, and that's something that needs to be kind of like known as well. So I have the confidence from the work that we do here, and also it's like I can hear his voice in my head, so that's helpful. So it's like I can hear what he's like telling me to do in them moments. Now there's definitely stuff that I should have done in the moments in the fight that I didn't. But yeah, it's still, I know that I've put the work in here and I'm here all the time and I'm listening to what he's saying, so I'm able to kind of bring that with me wherever I'm going as well, to the best that I can while I'm not being there. So
yeah. No, and like that, after that then, obviously you went on a little bit of a streak. You picked up 2 belts in the process. You had 2 TKO victories, I believe, or one say. So when you started going on that streak, like you fought Dolores, was it Dolores first?
No, so after, so I had fought Fia before I went to the Four Nations, and then it was the Four Nations, and then I fought Dolores in Akuma, at the end of August.
How did it feel to get the finish in the fight, and especially with a body shot as well, which you don't see many people put out with? How did that feel? Because you're very good. You've obviously you come and you've won 2, but when they start covering up, you really rip to the body. So when you seen her go down with that, were you like, that's nice?
It was a nice feeling. It's something that obviously we work on body shots here and stuff, so it was something that I was happy to be able to kind of put into practice as well. But even at that, I'm like, there's still stuff I need to fix from that fight now. I still need to fix certain things. But yeah, Dolores she's a really tough fighter, so it was a nice feeling. Yeah.
And then your fighting championship. You're the first women's champion, the only women's champion. Obviously, now that you're going pro, there's going to be another fight for that. How did it feel? Because that'll always be a part of history with that show. And especially the fight really lived up to expectation. You went against Sarah Elliott, who's probably not far from going pro herself, in a fantastic fight. We were talking about just before, it's like 35,000 views or something. Like, how did that feel to get that fight and get that win, because you went through a lot of adversity in that fight as well?
So like it was great for us to be able to fight Sarah, because we had planned to fight a couple of times and hadn't worked out, so to be able to for us to actually be able to fight, that was great in itself, because I knew that would be another big kind of test and another opportunity for me to show everything that I've been working on and to really level up my game as well. But it was a mad fight, so it was it was fun. Obviously I got dropped in the first round, and that's the first time I'd ever been dropped as well. So it was not good that happened, but like I don't want that to happen again. So again, there's another kind of thing that I need to fix. So it was that, and then obviously coming back from that and coming back after that first round as well into the second and the third, it was great.
When you get dropped, and you're lying there, and for a split second, Sarah did, it looked like she was celebrating. She thought I think she'd knocked you out cold.
Yeah.
What's going through your head there, knowing that she's going to be coming down on you? Like, her wrestling and everything is so good.
Yeah, she's
I'm not saying
strong.
obviously yours is not, but that's kind of, you would have been elite in the strike and she would have been elite in wrestling. What's your feeling when you're on the ground going, right, she's coming down here? What, like, are you just still, is there brain fog after getting knocked down?
Well, I was just, then she was on top, she was taking mount, and I was just thinking, I wanted to be able to say to the ref, I'm okay, like, don't stop this, because I'm fine. And he knew, obviously, like, he didn't stop, he knew it was all right. So that's all that was kind of going through my head. I was like, okay, well, I need to execute and get back up to my feet. And if I can't get back up to my feet, how do I keep myself safe until I can get back to my game and get back to winning this fight? So that was what was going through my head. So I was just trying to stay in that headspace and get my body moving to be able to get back in the second, get back in the third, and also get back in the first as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, because like that, being dropped for the first time in any sport is going to be a peculiar, unusual situation for you. So to be able to fight through that, and like I said, Sarah was on top of you, and I remember at one stage thinking, if it keeps coming down, this could potentially be stopped.
Yeah.
And obviously like that, I think I was right beside you, and I think you were saying, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think it was Decky Larkin reffing it as well, I want to say. And then when you come back up, you get to the corner, what's going through your head then? What's Lushin saying? Because I know he doesn't scream or shout, he's very quiet, and he's very... The way he explains it so well, and he puts you at, even just talking to him, I feel relaxed. Way.
He knows I need very simple instructions to follow, like, he knows. So he is able to kind of talk to you quite calmly and just tell you what you need to do. Like, he knew I needed to get back in the second. He's kind of like, okay, that's done. There's nothing you can, like, there's nothing that I could have done about that. That's already happened. So I just need to execute our plan now in the second and in the third. So that's what I did.
And then when that goes to a decision, because when it came down to it, it was quite tight. When I looked at it initially, I'm not gonna lie, I thought maybe that was a 10-8 round, the first round, and I had you for the next two rounds. What was it like going to the decision? Like, what was going through your head? Did you know you'd won the fight, or was there a bit of this could go either way?
So anytime now when I fight, because of what happened in September, like when I had my ISKA fight, I'm like, this could go anyway. So I just, in those moments, it's with anyone, like, even if even sometimes when I've won by knockout and stuff, I'm still standing there and I'm like, okay, I want this kind of part to be sped up, because it feels so long when it's happening. So I was just standing there thinking, I was like, this is so long. I really want this kind of decision to be made. But I felt that I had done enough in the second and in the third to be able to win. So yeah. Yeah,
because I believe she took you down in the third then as well, and she had you for a bit.
Yeah, gotten back up. Yeah,
you got back up, and that's what stuck in my mind, and that's probably what stuck in the judge's mind. That you got back up and you started obviously using your strike. And again, like I said, it's good head body. The way you're able to mix it up is fantastic. But you go on. Obviously, you fight a fit to fight. Then as well, it was initially supposed to be like a 4-woman tournament.
Yeah.
Only yourself and Mel actually signed up. What was it like winning that belt? Because I know obviously Mel, I think, came in overweight. Was there any inkling that you weren't going to fight because the weight was missed, or were you always going to fight?
No, I was always going to fight. I didn't really, well, not that I didn't really mind. I didn't mind to the sense that I wouldn't want to fight. Like, if she'd missed the weight, that's more kind of her piece of, that's just a lesson for her in the sense of making weight and stuff like that. But for me, I didn't mind. I just wanted to be able to fight. So yeah, I didn't mind that. That was okay.
And in that fight as well, you showed your striking skill, and she was extremely tough. She didn't, no matter what you hit her with, she just kept coming back. What's it like when you're striking someone with all you've got, and they just keep coming back? And I believe it was a standing TKO, wasn't it, in the end, because the ref obviously looked and said, look, this isn't going to get any better for Mel. What was it like fighting someone that just kept coming back? Did you think a couple of times, right, this is going to be stopped, and then she kept going? Yeah,
like I could obviously see kind of cracks in where shots were coming through and stuff, so I knew that was an opportunity then for me. But she's just really, she was very, very tough. So yeah, I was happy with the win. Yeah.
And then you get the second belt. Obviously you're on the cusp of professional now. You're obviously, I believe you're going down to flyweight for that, and what was the decision to go down to flyweight? Is it just because when you go into the pro ranks, there's so much at stake and people are cutting the weight? What will the weight cut be like for you? Because I talked to you at bantamweight and you said the weight cut like isn't that bad, but you've got nutritionists on board.
Yeah.
Would you have liked to have got an amateur fight at flyweight before going pro?
Yeah, so the plan was to get an amateur fight at flyweight before going pro, but that didn't work out. It was hard to get matched. But I have made 58 before, and I have a really great nutritionist that I work with as well, Lauren. So she's deadly, and we had talked about flyweight because once I started working with her a couple of months ago, we kind of talked about my goals and stuff like that, and I said about going pro for MMA and that I'd be looking at going flyweight, but for the time being we'd kind of stick at bantamweight, and then she didn't have kind of any issues with the flyweight piece, and she'd be really kind of she's very in line with looking after people's health, and she knows the effects that can kind of have both physically and mentally on fighters too, so she wouldn't want to do anything that's going to put your body in any kind of jeopardy or anything. So she was saying that flyweight is definitely achievable, so yeah, the cut will be, it's happening now, it's okay.
yeah, so it's going to be, and that, it's exciting that you're going to be going to flyweight. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see an amateur fight at pro, but or amateur fight at flyweight, but obviously sometimes it's hard to get matched, especially being a female in Ireland. There's not a huge amount, but you can see that getting bigger and bigger over the 2 years I've been doing this. You can see that getting more and more, and obviously someone you train with would have a lot to do with it. Shauna Bannon, what's it like training with Shauna? I've seen you training a couple of times. She's currently in the UFC, kind of where fighters aspire to be. What's it like picking her brain and training with her?
Yeah, it's great. Shauna's great. She's so nice, and she's great to train with. So, it's just another great training partner to have. And she's very encouraging, she's very supportive, so I feel very lucky to have met the people that I've met through training, to be able to kind of train with them and pick their brains if I need it and stuff as well. So yeah, it's really introduced me to some really great people, so yeah, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, and that you've trained with Sarah, who you fought with, and I think especially because the pool of ladies is so small within the country, I think that needs to happen essentially. Going forward, because you don't want to be just the best in Ireland, you want to be the best in the world, obviously.
Yeah, that's the plan, is to be the best in the world. So yeah, I need these amazing people that I have fought to be able to do that, and vice versa. There's stuff that they'll be able to get from me and there's stuff that I'll be able to get from them, and everyone is just generally really nice, so it's great to just be able to train with them. So yeah. So the female scene is getting bigger. What do you make of that yourself? Obviously it's not just Shauna, the likes before, Liam McCourt, Sinead Kavanagh, Ash Daly started all years ago. How do you feel when you see more women getting into the sport? Yeah, so I remembered when I had started in K1, I think people were kind of saying that there wasn't lots of girls, but I felt like that was maybe before I had started, because then when I had started I got loads of fights in K1, so that was great, and then it started to get a little bit harder towards the end, and then I know I had talked to people about going over to MMA, and they had said that it was hard. They had talked about how it was hard for them to get matched, and then once I had started I felt like it was fine. It was so easy to get matched, and then obviously maybe towards the end a little bit of going down to flyweight, it was harder. Then I noticed that it was hard, but now I feel like that there's loads of girls, so it's great. Yeah, and everyone is really really into fighting each other, so it's deadly. So it's grand, and it's not in a bad way. No one's out to get anyone or anything. Everyone just really wants to fight, which is deadly, because that's what we need, because that's how we're going to learn, and then we're able to move up the ranks and kind of all get to where we want to be. So no, it is good. I think it was actually Sarah and Kerry who actually set up their own fight and went to Decky McAleenan and said, can we fight on your show? And it's good that the female community seems so close-knit and so together, which is fantastic. But 2024 is looking like a fantastic year for all Irish MMA. I can't wait for your professional debut. But before I let you go, there's just one or two questions. One is going to be kind of like a three-part question. So out of your 7 fights that you've had so far, amateur, what was your favourite finish? What was your favourite fight? And what was the fight you learned from the most? Okay. My favourite finish was probably... I really enjoyed the body shot. Yeah, not in a bad way. Just in
You said that would have been a conviction.
No. Not nothing's ever in a bad way. It was just like that was nice to be able to get that finish. Because I've only had 2 finishes, so it's that one or the one with Mel. So yeah, it was the body shot. My favourite fight, that's really hard to pick, because I feel like the one probably I would say Sarah was probably my favourite fight, because there was so much learning in that, in the sense of getting knocked down, coming back from that, and as well, can I pick 2?
Yeah, you can pick 2.
Wait, what was the third question? Sorry.
What you learned from the most, and it can be the same fight for a different answer as well, if you want.
So my first fight was my first fight with Mary Beth. It was more like, actually, well, no, probably all of them. No, I can't pick all of them. Sorry.
Well, you can pick all of them if you want, because if you learn from all of them,
it's more that confidence piece. After each fight, I was like, oh, I can actually do this. I can actually do this. I can actually do this. It was like a confirmation piece after each of them. It like built my confidence up more and more. Like, I can actually do this. So that was something that was probably like something very important to me, was that like confirmation in it that I can do it. Yeah. Because like that with everyone, self-doubt can kind of slip into your mind and stuff like that. So, and I feel like that's quite important for like people who are maybe thinking of starting MMA and stuff. You see people when they're fighting and you think that they've been doing this forever. You're like, oh my God, but you know, they were training since they were 5, or you see these videos of them training when they were a kid and stuff like that. But like, I hadn't done MMA ever before since a year and a half ago. And like now I'm going professional. So I feel like those little lessons in each fight of being like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. That's why each fight kind of probably would have been my biggest lesson. So yeah. Yeah,
I think your self-awareness and the way you look at every fight, whether it's win or loss, and pick something from, I think that's what's kind of accelerated your ascension to the top of the ranks. But when it's all said and done, MMA, kickboxing, whatever, what would you like to be remembered by? If someone says your name, what would be the word, sentence, or phrase that you would like attached to it? It doesn't have to be fight related. It could be about your personality. It could be about your fight style. If someone said your name, what would you want the answer to be back?
I want to be the best in the world. So I want people to remember me for being the best in the world, like at my time, when that is. But also just that probably not to limit yourself in those senses. Like, people will put this is far more than one word.
No, go ahead.
But like that, you don't have, like, it's probably that comparison piece that people might look at me and maybe they'll somehow compare themselves to me in a certain way, but I don't want that to ever be a thing, because I wanted to use comparison for a really in a really positive kind of way, because like nowadays everyone's just looking at everyone and everyone's comparing themselves, and I fall into that trap as well. I'm like, oh well, they're doing this and they're doing that, but more to kind of like look at, if people are going to look at what I do, will then see that I had never done this before, and like that it's easily something that you can do if you're going to put the time and the effort and the work into it, and sacrifices as well. So probably that, to know that you can do things that you might not think that you're going to be able to do, but like you actually have to just be willing to put in the hard work, and that sacrifices come with that, and you're going to miss out on things, and things are going to get hard sometimes, but you can just power through it if that's genuinely what you want to do. And that's not just for fighting, that can be with anything. So yeah,
you can apply it to life as well. But no, I like that as well, because people do compare each other a lot, and I think the rise of social media has added to that as well,
100%,
in a negative way as well as a positive way. So once you said, like I said, you have your mind right, you know what you're looking at. But look, it's been a fantastic 13 months that I've been watching you. I can't wait to see what the next 13 months has, and then beyond. Like myself, everyone else is anticipating this debut, so I can't wait to see when you make it, and I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Thank you.